So I just want to touch on a few different strategies or a few different things to do when you want to get back into training after a layoff. A lot of people take some time off during the holidays, a week, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks away from the gym, and maybe are a little bit unsure of what to do when they get back into training again. So depending on how much time you took away from training, you're probably going to lose a few things. The ability to produce high neural outputs, some energy reserves, some cardiovascular conditioning. So with that being said, if you're someone who mostly is concerned with lifting and not really too concerned with anything else, this is what I would recommend doing. I'd recommend doing full body lifts your first day, even your first couple of days, or maybe even your first couple of weeks back. And what I would do on these full body days is some sort of squat, hinge, push, pull, and then an ab or a gait pattern type of movement. The reason I would suggest doing this is so that you could stimulate the nervous system to recall these basic motor patterns. Now, because you've probably lost the ability to produce high neural outputs, your 1 rep max strength or your max strength in specific lifting context has probably gone down. When you are selecting exercises you want to perform in your workout, I'd recommend performing exercise variations that you have little experience with. This is for a couple of reasons. If you perform an exercise variation that's different than the main exercise movements you typically do, you're not going to have this expectation of where your strength should be. So if your maximum back squat is 405 and you take some time off, you might feel like you should be able to hit 385, 365, or whatever number you have in your head. But if you perform a different exercise variation, you're not going to have that number in your head. So the difficulty might be due more to the novelty than to the time off. So you're less likely to have this feeling that you're so far behind, or might get psyched out and think I've lost all my strength, and training just might be easier to go through and to progress on something new. Secondly, I would do something fun in the weight room. Choosing exercise variations that are more novel to you are already going to do this for you, so you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. This will help enjoyment and adherence. Training this way is going to ensure that the relative intensity isn't too high, so that you still can progress over the course of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you're someone who's an athlete or someone that does a lot of sprinting in their training, I'd recommend just doing tempo runs the first day or maybe even the first week back. This is a good idea because it's going to allow your hamstrings and your feet and your ankles and all the tissue that's involved with running to prepare for more intense training the following week or the following days. If you want to do something more intense, I'd suggest doing build-up sprints where you never actually reach anything higher than 90% of your maximal speed. Or you can do get-offs where you're just working on the acceleration phase of a sprint, and depending on the type of athlete you are, your training history, I probably wouldn't perform these get-offs longer than 10 or 15 yards. Keeping the distance short will ensure that you don't reach maximal velocity and higher outputs, allowing your ability to recover easier. So basic principles of this video: when you're getting back into training, make sure you do something a little bit different than normal, keep it fun, and make sure the relative intensity isn't too high. That's all I got for the video. I could get into some other details, but I wanted to keep the video relatively short, so feel free to reach out with any questions. Before you take off, please hit like, subscribe, and share this video for me. Thanks, and have a great day.